Free Harbaugh. Welcome back to Scarlet and Maize. I'm Adam.
I'm Zack.
What's up? We'll start with the more interesting of the two games. Ohio State 23, Indiana 3. Recap and thoughts?
It's a game that, they're playing Indiana, which Indiana's been terrible for years. That was their 29th win.
They had the worst defense in the Big Ten last year.
Yeah, this is the longest active winning streak against a single opponent in the country. 29 now wins in a row. But I loved what I saw from Ohio State. Like, there's nothing really stood out to me as a red flag. Like,
passing touchdowns.
Ohio State might be in trouble this year. No, nothing.
I was gonna look it up when the last time was that Ohio State played a game without having a passing touchdown.
But you didn't look it up?
I forgot to.
That would be a good stat.
I know.
It is this game now, so you could hold on to that now. You remember.
Yep.
Next time they don't throw a passing touchdown. And last time they did it wasn't against Indiana.
Yeah.
But it was probably the Northwestern game last year with that crazy wind and stuff.
That could be.
That'd be my guess. But no, I liked what I saw, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Defense looked good. Indiana's offense isn't great, so it's not really much to take from it. They only gave up 150 yards. Also in this new clock era, Indiana didn't have a ton of drives, so it's not like it wasn't something that swayed me one way or the other. Like, oh yeah, the defense for sure is going to be a top 5 defense this year, or it felt like wasn't anything bad to go from. The offense, obviously, I would like to see some more points on the board. But they only had 9 drives the whole game. People hated on Quinny. Jeez Louise.
Kyle McCord.
I do wish. No, I think Kyle McCord would be great. But that Kyle McCord, he didn't have a touchdown and all that. But he only played in 7 drives the whole game, even though Devin Brown only played in 2. But in those 7 drives, they scored on 5 of them. Obviously, would have liked to have him finish the drives better, score more touchdowns. There was one touchdown that was called back for illegal touching that the Big Ten has now said should have been a touchdown and shouldn't have been a penalty. That was to Marvin Harrison Jr. too as well.
It's a good thing Indiana didn't have any offense to make that matter.
Yeah. My players of the game, though, for Ohio State, the offensive player that I liked the most was Chip Trayanum. I thought he looked great again, and he looked the best of the 3 running backs that got a bulk of the carries. Mayan did well too. Travion, I still feel like he's looking for the home run every play, and he needs to start taking what is given to him. But the O-line is a red flag, but I don't think it's a red flag enough to panic. I think that it's stuff that they can fix, some blocks that they missed. Kyle McCord should have had a rushing touchdown if he just goes right on the one.
Yeah, I saw that.
On the one run. Or because I think Mayan was trying to seal block the guy so that if Kyle McCord just goes right, he gets him. But it almost looked like he missed the block, but he was kind of had his back turned. But if Kyle McCord just goes that way, it should have just been a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then on the defensive side of the ball, I love Sonny Styles. Indiana was running triple option a lot of the game, and anytime it went to the pitch man, he was either running him out of bounds for no gain or tackling him for no gain, and he was just flying all over the field. I saw a picture of where he lined up on the field, and it was just everywhere, all over the field. It was crazy, and I really liked what I saw from him. He was in on every single play.
Yeah, I just put down Kyle McCord, 20 for 33, 239 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. He should have had 1 touchdown. That's fine.
Yeah.
Still is. So we talked about it the last episode. This is the kind of drop-off I think people were maybe hoping for.
Yeah.
Or whatever. CJ Stroud against this defense, I don't think.
But people forget C.J. Stroud did not play a good game against Minnesota. His opening start, his first career start.
No, but
he missed some. He had some really bad throws that were really inaccurate. And
one thing that I saw pointed out that he missed some throws, but Kyle McCord wasn't even taking those throws. He was kind of Cade-ish, checking down a lot.
I wouldn't agree.
All right.
He had some down the field throws. He had a nice throw down the field to Cade Stover across the middle. He took a shot deep to Julian Fleming at one point. He just needed to put it more in front of him. And Fleming really could have still got a hand on the ball. It went right through his hands, but it was just an awkward catch the way the ball was placed. But then the interception was.
I actually didn't see the interception.
Yeah, so I think just looking at the stat line and looking at the score of the game and seeing that Kyle McCord didn't have any touchdowns and had the 1 interception, it's easy to think Kyle McCord's not the guy. But that one interception he had was on 4th and 1, and they had set up a play to throw it to, I think Chip must have been lining up at fullback for the play, because he was lining up at fullback at times. And he did a little route to the flat, and he got tripped up by whatever defensive guy. He thought it was going to be run play, and just took him out. Just took his legs out, and he didn't even have the option, but there was nobody going to be on him. It might have even been a touchdown. So then he had to improvise and go to the second or third options, and it was 4th down, so he really just
you
had
can't
to
just hold it.
Try it. He threw something that he shouldn't have thrown, but didn't lose it. Didn't lose Ohio State anything.
Yeah. Devin Brown was the other option, but he threw 3 passes. Do you know for how many total yards?
3.
-2.
-2.
And then he had a run for -3 yards. But Travion Henderson, he did have the longest run of the game of 19. Otherwise, he would have been at 2.5 yards per carry. But he's your least favorite of the 3. Mayan Williams had 7 carries for 25. Chip Trainum had 57 yards. That's what's crazy is he may have been the brightest spot of the offense, and he had 57 yards. That's just, it's not the Ohio State that we've been used to seeing is all.
Well, and I think the clock is a factor.
Also that.
Yeah.
What's your concern level with the quarterback play?
0.
Okay.
0 concern.
What do you think that you said Travion Williams only looks for the home run still, and you said that last year a bunch.
Travion Henderson.
What'd I say?
Williams.
Oh, yeah, Travion Henderson and Mayan Williams.
Yeah.
Why did Mayan Williams only get 7 carries?
I don't know. They've got a lot of guys, and Mayan did seem to be the guy on the short yardage package, which I think is where he will succeed. And I think 25 yards on only getting the ball on short yardage.
He did have 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he had both of them were in the red zone too. He I don't know why he only got 7 carries, but it's also because they only had 9 drives. Yeah, 9 possessions. And the funny thing about Devin Brown is the narrative that was being pushed made it seem like he still had a shot at the starting job, even though Kyle McCord was starting this game. Then he only played 2 drives and only one of them in the first half, and they ran the ball 3 times and just punted it.
To me, and I'm not bringing this up as any sort of comparison at all, but in the offseason, it was McCord or Devin Brown. Same with Michigan State, Noah Kim or Hauser. And then neither one seemed like it was an actual competition still. But
yeah. But then Ryan Day doubled down on it. That's still a competition, and that Devin Brown will get more shots this game against.
That would be interesting if Devin Brown starts this game.
No, I think he said Kyle McCord will still start.
Yeah. Michigan 30, East Carolina 3. So JJ was 26 of 30 for 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, which is obviously good. But I was surprised and happy about how much Michigan threw the ball. East Carolina's game plan was clear early on to load up against the run, but I think the fact that Michigan's second drive was 8 plays long, 6 passes, only 2 runs, showed that they have more trust in JJ this year and they're more willing to open it up than they were last year. Honestly, JJ's freshman year, I thought he took a lot of risky plays. Some would be big gains, some would be turnovers. Last year, it seemed like he was essentially on the Cade, just don't turn it over plan, and I slowly worried less as the year went on, just to have him throw 2 costly pick sixes in the playoff. But he still put up big numbers other than that. But I'm actually not too worried anymore. I think he's just really good. I think he'll easily break Chad Henne's single-season touchdown record at Michigan, which is way lower than Ohio State's.
Yeah, and lower than Michigan State's.
Now, I don't think he'll have many more interceptions than he did last year, even with probably way more attempts. There were only 3 games all of last season where he had more attempts than he did on Saturday.
Wow. And it's interesting too, with the new clock stuff, with them throwing it that much. Michigan obviously ran less plays. I saw a stat that said last year in Michigan's 3 non-conference games, they had 7, 8, and 8 first half drives. Other than this game, they had 9 drives the whole game.
Yeah. I hate that. Like I said in our last episode, but I feel even stronger about it now, Penn State, I think, will be the first real test. We'll see how Ohio State looks going forward, but Could Penn State be the biggest test that Michigan has this year?
I think even
We'll
if Ohio State's offense isn't where it was, it will still be the biggest test.
Yeah. One thing about Michigan, too, is they, on the first drive, they were backed up at like the 2. It was obvious they were going to run. I wish they would have tried to throw it one time, even if it was a quick just go route to Roman Wilson or something.
Yeah.
But I saw people making, once they got out of the bad habits of the first, and I was like, they're backed up at the 2. How many drives backed up actually go anywhere? Not many.
Yeah.
So
that's why everyone makes a big deal about it. 99-yard touchdown drive.
Yeah. You have any thoughts?
I don't know. Michigan plays this crap school, East Carolina, not very good. Beats them 30-3. Looked really impressive, all that. But then Ohio State beats conference opponent on the road 23-3, and it's like, wow, Ohio State didn't look that good. That's just my takeaway from the two teams. But
in the Sagarin ratings, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Indiana is rated lower than East Carolina, and Michigan actually played their backups. But
yeah, I don't really care.
I know. Scarlett and May's picks. We didn't have an episode last week. Whatever.
Yeah.
So we only picked a couple of games. I went 2-0. You went 1-1.
Yeah.
So that'll pick up this week. Some viewer questions. If you could change any prediction from last episode, what would you change? Mine is easily that Cade Klubnik would be a Heisman finalist. Goodness gracious. Wow. Do you have any?
I would change my Nebraska pick. I picked Nebraska to win last week, and they lost, and I would change that pick. But other than that, like the long term, like my Heisman finalist, my college football playoff, my Big Ten, like all that, I'm cool with at this point.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if that changes even this week, though. But
right,
yeah.
I'll let you answer this one first because it's about your team. But after a poor performance against Indiana, this is the question's wording, not my wording.
Yeah.
After a poor performance against Indiana, does Ryan Day consider starting Devin Brown?
Yeah. So I mean, No. So I kind of said a lot of these stats already because I forgot I was getting into it down here. But yeah, Devin Brown is, from my interpretation, I already said is still being considered for the starting job. Mm-hmm. But and we'll get more chances to throw the ball this next game. But I want to focus on the poor performance part of this comment. This is very obvious. Someone asking a question that didn't watch the game and just looked at the stat line and all of that. But the narrative is he threw an interception. I don't know if they are looking at the interception or the lack of scoring, but like I said, McCord played on 7 drives and they scored on 5 of them. Like obviously we like to see him finish the drives more, score more touchdowns, and one of them should have been a touchdown. The Big Ten admitted that when
you're complaining about the refs,
no, I'm not complaining.
Like always.
No, they admitted that when Marvin Harrison Jr. got shoved out of bounds and then came back in and caught a touchdown pass, that it shouldn't have been illegal touching. But I don't think Kyle McCord had a poor performance by any means. Even comparing him to C.J. Stroud, like C.J. Stroud had a terrible game against Northwestern last year. Obviously, that one was, you can chalk it up to the weather because the wind was insane in Chicago.
And we all know how C.J. Stroud likes outdoor arenas. Let me be devil's advocate before I answer. I should have looked this up too. When's the last time Ohio State threw the ball 33 times and only had 239 yards? That's got to be a long time too, I would think. The average is way lower than what at least I would imagine an Ohio State offense to look like.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I don't know.
Anyways, I think no, there's no way he even considers it. There were a few quarterback competitions, like I said, that I don't think were real or at least near as close as the coaches said, and this was one of them.
Yeah.
Or I think we would have seen some more Devin Brown earlier and probably some more pass plays for him.
Yeah.
Maybe some downfield.
Yeah.
So he didn't have 2 completed passes.
It was so bizarre.
Negative yards.
That whole drive was so weird to me, and I was like, oh, Devin Brown's in finally. Like, this makes sense. This is cool. And it was like towards the end of the second half, and I was like, okay, let's see him throw the ball, move down the field. Like, we got to score quick or whatever. I don't remember exactly how much time was left, but I remember thinking like, oh, we'll try and take a shot or something. And then they ran the ball 3 times and punted it.
Yeah. What possible upsets do you see happening this week?
I'm actually picking a couple that we'll get into later.
All right.
Yeah.
I could see Washington State upset Wisconsin.
Really?
I want Iowa to do well, but the way they sputtered after a quick start with Cade makes me nervous for them. Going to Ames against Iowa State, that's always a weird game. Honestly, I know it won't happen, but I would love to see Eastern Michigan beat Minnesota in Minneapolis as well. What possible?
You just want the entire Big Ten West to lose.
Yes. Well, it wasn't what do you want to happen. I did say I would love to see Eastern beat Minnesota. I think it. Yeah. Okay. What possible upsets do you see happening this year?
One that stood out to me that I picked in our last episode, that I'm not picking today because I'm picking some crazy ones today. I feel like, but Michigan State over Michigan. I'll double down on it. I think Michigan State. I don't have any rhyme or reason for it. It's just.
You're sticking with it. I thought you were saying you're not picking it today.
No, I am picking it. Yeah. I'm not picking it today per se. Like we'll pick it later in the picks, but a few weeks down the road. But
okay.
I've got MSU upsetting Michigan this year still.
That's fun. I could see Indiana beating Penn State because James Franklin always craps the bed at some point.
Yeah.
Indiana's a weird team. Plus, Ohio State, one of their, I think, D linemen said, Indiana is for sure a bowl team.
Yeah, whatever
which
that means.
I thought was hilarious.
Even if he's right, like, if they win 6 games, like, wow,
good
that
job.
added to that win. Cool. It's just a funny comment. But
I said it last time, but Wisconsin over Ohio State, I'm not picking it.
Yeah.
But it could happen. I picked it last time. Clemson over UNC. Clemson looked like garbage. Their defense maybe comes around against North Carolina.
Dude, how about the state of South Carolina? They're
oh my gosh.
That was a rough weekend for them.
Yeah, it was. Big Ten takeaways? I got 3.
My only one is like same old Nebraska, but you'll see by the end of this that I don't really believe that.
Okay.
Yeah.
My first one, and I thought it almost immediately after the game ended, but I may have been wrong about Drew Aller. But also West Virginia sucks, so we'll see how he looks against Iowa. September 23rd, I think, will be his first drill test.
I actually saw, I didn't watch that game, at least not all of it, but Drew Aller also threw 2 passes that should have been picked off. Like I would have picked him off.
Yeah, I believe you. We've only seen one game so far, but if Ohio State doesn't beat Youngstown State by 42 plus, it might be time to worry about Ohio State being in the top 2 of the East. Maybe. The West is very clearly Wisconsin, big drop-off, Iowa, and then everybody else in the turd pile.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I don't know.
That makes sense.
Speaking of the turd pile, the rapid-fire turd pile picks, some of these don't even have a line on them. Indiana State at Indiana somehow being one of them, or I forgot to put it. I think that one I forgot to put in. Indiana.
Anyway, yeah, I got Indiana.
I mean, they're a bowl team. This is their first win.
Yeah, 1 of 6.
Illinois at Kansas. Kansas is favored by 3.
Mm-hmm.
I got Kansas.
We're just picking it straight up though, even though we're looking at the spread.
Yeah.
I got Kansas as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Their quarterback's supposed to be back, so.
Delaware at Penn State. I got Penn State.
Yeah, Penn State.
Purdue at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is favored by 3. I got Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech.
I don't think it will be by 3.
Right.
Richmond at Michigan State. I got Michigan State.
Yeah, I got Michigan State.
UTEP favored by 1.5 at Northwestern.
I'm honestly surprised they're not favored by more. I've got UTEP.
Me too. Yeah. I think they'll win by 14, 21, something like that.
UTEP is solid.
And Northwestern is not.
Yeah.
Charlotte at Maryland. Maryland's favored by 24.5. Charlotte actually has a number of Michigan players that transferred over.
Interesting.
Because they hired a Michigan assistant as their head coach.
Gotcha.
But I got Maryland.
Yeah, I got Maryland.
It's early season Maryland. They're going to put up big numbers and score a lot and win.
When was the last time Maryland? I feel like they always go undefeated in non-conference. I have to look that up because
even if not undefeated, it's like 3-1.
Even like the one year they beat Texas, for no reason.
It's later in the year they turn to dog crap.
Yeah, probably because usually their quarterback gets hurt. But.
Here we go. Eastern Michigan at Minnesota. Minnesota's favored by 20.5. I got Minnesota.
Yeah, I got Minnesota.
It would be nice if Eastern would win it. But Temple at Rutgers. Rutgers favored by 9. I got Rutgers probably by more than 9.
Yeah, I got Rutgers.
Onto the varsity games. Wisconsin favored by 6.5 at Washington State. I picked Wisconsin to go 10-2. And after their game, I'm not sure if I should worry about them winning the Big Ten championship for the first Big Ten West victory there, or losing to Washington State. I'm going to pick Wisconsin here.
That's a big spectrum.
Tanner Mordecai was 24 for 31. That's obviously good. That's about what Ohio State had in their game. But he only gained 189 yards. That's 6.1 yards per attempt, and had 1 touchdown with 2 picks.
Well, it's funny because they hired the OC from North Carolina, and they're all like, "Oh, air raid offense, air raid offense." North Carolina under that OC led the ACC in rushing at one point.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I did know Luke Fickell was this isn't going to be the normal air raid.
They had Michael Carter and somebody else, maybe Javonte Williams. I might be making that up, but they had 2 really good running backs, and they led the ACC in rushing that year.
So at the same time of these passing mediocre stats, Braylon Allen, Ches Malusi combined for 30 carries, 298 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So I'm just not sure at this point how to feel about Wisconsin, but I got Wisconsin.
Yeah, I got Wisconsin. I'm not going to go into a bunch of that.
Yeah. Iowa is favored by 4 at Iowa State. This is another coin flip for me, but I got Iowa.
Yeah. I feel like it's close to a coin flip for me, but I feel like whenever it is a coin flip in this game, Iowa wins. Like Iowa, I feel like I haven't looked at the stat, but I feel like in the last 10 years they've been pretty dominant in that rivalry when they've had a good team.
Yeah.
When they've had a decent team. So yeah, I've got Iowa.
Nebraska at Colorado.
I don't think TCU is a good team. I didn't think they were a good team when they made the
playoffs
last year. I didn't think they were a good team when they beat Michigan last year. I didn't think, obviously, they were not a good team when they got smoked by Georgia last year. And they lost some guys.
85-0 is not a good score.
Yeah. No, I don't think TCU is very good, and I think people are riding high on that Colorado buzz after that game, and Colorado might be riding high on that big win after that game on the road, and I think they come home and they get upset by Nebraska. I think Nebraska knows, like, they have – so Colorado has, 87 new players, counting freshmen. Yeah. And this team with the most in the Big Ten is Nebraska. They have 60-some. Both of them are insane turnover, between the portal and freshmen. Having that many new players is wild. But I think Nebraska, with that many new players, shows that, it's not same old Nebraska. It just happened to play out this way. It's not those same. Cursed. It's not the same players losing the games that way. I think they bounce back in this game. I think Matt Rule gets the guys right, and they upset Colorado on the road.
Speaking of not the same guys, it's so annoying to me when they're like, oh, they beat last year's national runner-up.
Yeah.
It's the same team. It's not the same team.
It's not the same team. And they still, I don't think TCU was very good last year.
No. I got Colorado by 28, maybe 35. I think they're going to blow them out, run it up because it's an old-school rivalry. Yeah. And Deion is Deion. Colorado's fun, man. I would love if Colorado ran the score up and maybe hung 100 on them. Okay. That would be great. Okay. I also do think it would be hilarious if Nebraska somehow won, especially because I read a report that a 5-star Detroit quarterback, Bryce Underwood, is now considering Colorado when Michigan was really hoping for him.
I would be considering.
Let's go Nebraska, but I got Colorado.
Yeah.
Youngstown State at Ohio State.
I don't know, Youngstown State might have that inside scoop with Jim Tressel being their school's president, so no, I got Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, I said that if Ohio State doesn't beat Youngstown State by 42, it might be time to worry about Ohio State being top 2 in the East. I got Ohio State by 41. UNLV at Michigan. Michigan's favored by 36. Ohio State didn't have a line because they're going to murder them, probably.
I don't get that sometimes.
Why not set the number crazy?
Well, by Saturday, I feel like there will be a line. There usually is a crazy one with those games.
Yeah. I mean, there's 36 in the UNLV at Michigan game. I got Michigan by 42.
UNLV with the I don't know. I feel like with the clock, the way Michigan typically plays, especially once they have the lead, I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan doesn't cover that spread, but still beats them handedly like ECU. Not anything to worry about, but
Michigan does get their offensive coordinator back this week.
Yeah.
However, he's not they still have, this is the game they have 2 head coaches swapping at halftime.
Gotcha.
Harbaugh's still not there.
Yeah.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised too. And UNLV runs a weird offense. I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer than this.
Yeah. Well, and if they're running the ball a lot.
Now, UNLV's defense is terrible, which the thought of a possibly explosive offense with a terrible defense makes me terrified, gives me PTSD about Appalachian State.
Well, let me put in perspective the 36-point spread, because I just came up with this. Michigan had 9 drives last week.
Yeah.
If they score touchdowns on 7 of them this week and only have 9 drives again this week,
it's not enough.
And they don't score on the other 2s, and they give up 0 points, they're still not covering the spread.
Yeah.
35-0. Yeah.
Although there was, in the Michigan's last game, only 1 turnover. Should have been 2 on an insane pick.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been. It was the right call, but it was just still sweet looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you.
Yeah.
But I still have Michigan by 42.
Michigan will still win by a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Game of the week, number 11, Texas against number 4, Alabama. Alabama's favored by 7. What do you got? Quinn Ewers. Let me guess. Quinn Ewers.
Well, yeah, I already went through I already picked Texas to win this game on our last episode. If you didn't watch, I love Quinn. I think Quinn's great. I'm a little sad that he transferred. I wish he would have been there this year. I think he's a little sad that he transferred. I think he wishes he would have.
Why do you think
been
that?
there? Because they have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka and plethora of other wide receivers.
I mean, they do have Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, that's about all Texas has.
Yeah.
No, Texas is a solid team for real, but I think I would rather play quarterback for Ohio State than Texas at this point. No, I really love Quinn, and I think if Quinn doesn't get hurt last year, they might blow Alabama out. Like, he was shredding them before he got hurt in that game, and they didn't score a lot of points after that, and they lost by 1. So, like, I really like Texas to go and win this game against Alabama.
Dang. Wait, by how much?
Oh, we're picking. Oh, yeah, because it's the game of the week, so we are picking the spread. I got them by 3.
Okay.
It'll be a close game.
I got Alabama 38, Texas 27. So Bama by 11. But yeah. I'm just not a believer in Texas. For the record, I would love for Texas to win this game. But I'm
not
Alabama.
usually a believer in Texas, but I think if there was any time to believe in Texas, it would be right now.
Yeah. Things no one is talking about.
I have something everyone is talking about. It is how good the Pac-12 has been so far. They went 13-0 between week 0 and week 2, or week 1. I don't know why it's week 2, but the hype is crazy going into their final season as they lay them to rest.
It's almost like they got out of the shackles of the Pac-12. They see the light at the end of the tunnel, and then they're actually good.
Yeah, the conference is loaded at quarterback, and they're trying to go out with a bang, and unless they beat each other up, I think they'll end the drought of getting 6 teams in the playoffs. Getting in the playoffs.
I was like, whoa, there's no way they get 6 teams in the 4-team playoff.
Jeez Louise, I'm struggling with words still.
I guess.
It's been 6 seasons since they've had a team in the playoffs. I think they end that drought. But then I also have something that no one is talking about. No one is talking about how the SEC had 3 primetime, big-time games this past weekend between Florida, South Carolina, and LSU. And they all lost.
It's weird.
They all lost by double digits.
I feel like if this was the Big Ten, it would be talked about.
Oh, it would be talked about, for sure.
That's frustrating.
Even if it was Wisconsin, Penn State, and Michigan State, it would be talked about, which is, I feel like, a pretty close equivalent with these 3 teams. But, yeah.
I agree. My thing no one is talking about, Iowa scored 14 points in the first quarter, one time all of last season, but did it in their first game with a former conference champion at quarterback in Cade McNamara. Yeah. But people aren't talking about it because they then just scored 10 points the rest of the game against Utah State to finish 1 point shy of Brian Ferentz's contract goal of 25 points per game.
Playing devil's advocate, did they have 2 drives in the first quarter and then 6 drives the rest of the game and go 2 for 6 the rest of the game?
To play devil's advocate on your devil's advocate point, Brian Ferentz's job is potentially on the line.
Yeah.
And if they ran it, which I do think they ran more in the second half, this dude, has to score more points.
I don't know if it's. I don't think he has to score more points than last year. Yes, but that's not a tall task.
In the contract, it's 25 points a game.
That's what they want. If he doesn't score 25 points a game, he's canned.
It doesn't say he's fired, but it says he has to hit those.
Oh, marks. That's his goal for the season. I think that's a fair goal. I mean, they might reconsider it with the way the clock looks. I don't know.
That could be his dad's way out of it.
If Iowa scores 25 points a game this year, they will be in the Big Ten championship game.
I'd love that. Just because I would love Michigan to play against Cade McNamara again. Not again, but Tweet of the week. What do you got?
So my tweet of the week is from @Ohio State Football. It is a fan page of Ohio State, but they stole that at that.
That's a
good
good
solid at for a fan profile. But they have a list of Buckeyes making $10 million or more in the NFL this year. And so it starts with Nick Bosa, who just signed a huge contract for $34 million, and then C.J. Stroud, Joey Bosa, Draymond Jones, Denzel Ward, Paris Johnson Jr., Cam Hayward, Marshawn Lattimore, Taylor Decker, Devon Hamilton, Curtis Samuel, and Corey Linsley are all making over $10 million this year. And then they have a list of the Michigan players making $10 million or more this year, and it is Rashawn Gary, and that's it. And he is barely making $10 million.
He's about to get paid, though, and it's fine. Look, I would trade all of that money for wins in the game. It's also not my money. So.
Yeah.
Mine is from @SwankyWolverine. At the start of the Northwestern-Rutgers game, the loser of this Rutgers-Northwestern game should be forced to join the Pac-12. So, see you later, Northwestern.
Yeah. Have fun with Oregon State and Washington State.
Probably splitting it.
Hey, Wisconsin's playing a Pac-12 game. We could send them out to the Pac-12.
That's fine with me, too.
Washington State this week.
Yeah. Well, that's all we got for this week. We'll see you next week. Until then, go Blue.
Go Buckeyes.